Many have been trying to find out what happened at that meeting between the South and North Korean leaders, because it looked like they were getting along famously. What to read into that and what it sets the stage for when the North Korean leader meets, well, his American counterpart, Donald Trump. Let's get the read right now from former CIA intelligence officer Peter Brookes and Fox News foreign policy analyst Kiron Skinner. Kiron, what are your views of how the meeting went between the two Korea leaders and what we could glean from that? It certainly seemed like they were getting along just fine.
Well, it was spectacular and historic. I can't think of enough adjectives to describe what has happened. But it was, above all, it was substantive and comprehensive. They talked not only about denuclearizing the Korean Peninsula, which we were all waiting to hear about, but also broader disarmament, about finally ending the war between the two sides, and also about national reconciliation, something I've heard no one talk about this morning, bringing the families together, trying to heal the nation. We haven't seen this, in addition to the fact that it's the first time that a North Korean leader set foot on South Korean soil. So in every direction, if even it is historic, but if half of what they talked about in their joint declaration occurs, the world has changed for the better.
You know, Peter, there's so much we don't know about what was going on behind the scenes. We do know that their goals were stated in mutual statements that came out shortly thereafter, where they said an end to war and complete denuclearization. Now, that puts the onus on the South Koreans as well, working with the United States to do the same. How will that be received?
Well, the devil's in the details, Neil. Right now, I assume the White House has been briefed by the Blue House in Seoul about these meetings, and they know more than we do, and we'll probably know more in the coming days. But for us on the outside, it's pretty light in details. It's taking all these promises on paper and putting them to action on the ground. That's the real challenge, and there's a lot of heavy lifting to be done there. These two countries have been separated by an armistice for 65 years. They haven't laid out their negotiating positions in terms of this. It's an aspiration, and I support that. And, of course, the denuclearization issue is, what does North Korea really mean by that? There are a lot of us who have been working on North Korea for many, many years, have been through the failed agreements in the past, that are concerned about North Korea isn't really willing to completely denuclearize, that they have a different definition of denuclearization than we do. So we're going to need to know a lot more, and there's a lot of work to be done. Although, so color me cautiously optimistic, but deeply skeptical of North Korea's intentions.
All right, we're already seeing progress, the likes of which we have not seen in decades, at least so far. To your point, Kiron, the concern seems to be what would make President Trump, get away from the table, stand up and walk away when he talks about not making much progress, or what do you think that would be?
First of all, let me also add that the United States is mentioned in the joint statement as being a central player in any negotiations going forward between the North and the South. And China was mentioned only after that as a potential fourth party. And I think that means that President Trump will stick to his word because he has been very credible. And for him, it means denuclearization in the way that we understand it, no nuclear weapons. And I don't believe that the U.S. president and the strong national security team he's recently assembled with Mr. Pompeo and Mr. Bolton, in addition to Secretary Mattis, will allow any other definition of denuclearization than what it actually means to the broader world. But also, we will help facilitate the peace process. And this is, in a way, fulfilling the America First doctrine in the sense that President Trump has called for self-determination, for regional solutions to regional problems. In fact, he's helped at the global level facilitate a discussion between North and South Korea, and that's what he wanted all along.
Peter, very quickly, though, you got to make sure whatever agreement you come to that you can verify with the North Koreans. Right. We know from prior United Nations inspection teams in places like, Iraq and elsewhere in Libya, that can be broken.
Yeah, I'm sure that the White House team will insist upon that we have intrusive inspections, no notice inspections, but this could be a challenge with North Korea. You know, we have made progress. Like I said, there's reason to be cautiously optimistic, but there's a lot of work yet to do. And our history with North Korea shows that there are significant challenges. So let's test their diplomatic intentions at talks and see where it goes.
All right, guys, I want to thank you both very, very much. Again, also a good start on this.